Look at that snow. I liked the reference Marta used before with being in a snow globe because it basically is like being in a snow globe. Although the only difference with being in a snow globe is you drivers out there, please drive safe. Please, please, please. I'm going to say that so many times because it's slippery roads right now. You know, the snow is sticking to grounds, but it's wet when it reaches roads. So that means it's not going to be icy, but it is going to be slippery. Take your time, give yourself enough time, especially if you're traveling for today. That is so necessary.
We call that a Kaylee PSA.
Yeah.
Back in the studio now with Dalen Davis of Visiting Angels. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Visiting Angels, of course, is in-home care. It's not necessarily medical care, but it's helping people out around the home with different, tasks and parts of their care.
Right.
But today we're talking about hospice. And I'm curious how that fits in with Visiting Angels.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a question we commonly get this time of year. During the holidays, the family starts calling and asking these sort of things because they see family members that maybe aren't doing as well as they thought. Mm-hmm. So what hospice is, especially in our realm, is it's considered end-of-life care. Mm-hmm. It's a service, and one of my favorite terms is hospice infrastructure, from one of my favorite hospice nurses in town, Heather Hartman. She's great, and she gives us a lot of education on these things. And what it does is it's a service that's provided for people who feel that it's time to transition from trying to cure whatever illness they have that they know is terminal to more comfort measures, more things like just medication management, pain management, and just kind of stabilizing things and keeping everything comfortable during those final 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm. So who's considered for hospice care? Is there an eligibility requirement to?
Right, yeah, basically it's a determination starting with the family, and it's a determination made by the physician saying that we determine that this is going to be the case. The nice thing about that, based on your question, is that it's not a final decision. A lot of people think, oh, if I make this decision, that's it. I'm on hospice, everything's done. Not necessarily. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, whenever they get on hospice and things stabilize, they get off the aggressive treatments, whether it be chemotherapy, radiation therapy for cancer, things like that. Sometimes things stabilize. They actually either stay the same or get better. People can graduate from hospice, things like that. So the determination is made whenever they feel that I'm done doing aggressive treatments with them and the physician, and then they bring in the hospice team.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think hospice care equals death eventually, but that's not the case.
That's not the case at all. It just basically means we're moving the focus into something else. And a lot of things too that people don't realize is it's a decision that should be made earlier rather than later. It's something that you pay in for your whole life. It's paid for through government health care. Medicare covers it 100%, things like that. And if nothing else, it's worth it's what you paid in for because it covers equipment, treatment while you're in your home, wherever you're at. So just the equipment alone covers what you would need. So that's a huge benefit that people should consider earlier rather than later.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's a safe space for a lot of patients then. What does hospice care exactly do for those patients though?
Yeah, so hospice care is specifically a team of nurses and nurses' aides that come in and monitor you and your well-being and wherever you're at, ideally your home, and provide emergency services as needed. So they would come out maybe once or twice a week to help with self-cares like bathing, things like that, like what we would do. But then also they're available 24/7 for emergency services. So anything that really came up that you wouldn't necessarily be calling 911 for, but you really need someone to intervene, they would come out and do those sort of things for you.
Oh, wow.
Do you find that people are scared to consider hospice as an option?
Yes, that's one of the biggest conversation topics that we talk people through is that is they're scared to consider it because they think it means something is inevitable. Mm-hmm. And then they wait until the services aren't really going to be used that long, until they're only going to be using them for a matter of weeks, whenever you can use it as long as you need it. And the doctors come in and they recertify you and things like that. But that's one of our big advocacy programs is to say, get in early if you feel that it's something you're leaning towards, because it's going to be more helpful than anything.
Mm-hmm. So there's hospice care, but then there's also home care. What are the similarities between the two, but then what are the biggest differences?
Yeah, so it's, again, going back to that term, hospice infrastructure. The similarities are that we go hand in hand with what hospice would do. Hospice comes in to assist in what home care does, which is alleviating the caregiver, the family, things like that, because they're not going to do that. A lot of misconceptions is that hospice is going to come in and take over and be there for the family and the caregiver for the loved one who has that illness. No, they're just emergency services. You're still going to need to provide that in-home care, whether it be with the family or if you need a service provided like Visiting Angels, that's where we come in. And the connection that I love is that we're basically the support and report team with hospice. So when hospice is there, when hospice has questions, we're the people who've been with the client, day in and day out, and they can ask us questions like, how's it going? Are things getting better, getting worse? We're reporting to them. So it's really a team effort between the two services.
And do you all, do you recommend hospice cares to people when you're already in the home? Do they
yes.
come to you when they're in hospice looking for home care? Is it both?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, honestly, the recommendations go back and forth. But here in Rockford, there's really great teams. I'm really been impressed. Great companies, Serenity Hospice, Northern Illinois Hospice, Transitions Hospice, all great teams. And the hospice teams themselves will tell you, shop around just like anything else. Compare and contrast the different ones. It's up to you. You can go directly to them. You can get referred through a social worker, through your physician, whatever the case may be. But yeah, the recommendations go back and forth. We certainly see people on our caseload that we say, you might want to look into the hospice care because it'd be a good addition to us. And same thing, hospice care says you're needing more than what we provide, and it's a little bit overwhelming for the family to do. Here's some other options for you. So it really goes back and forth.
Well, that's certainly good information and lots of information. If people have questions, what should they do about this, Dalen?
Give us a call. Give any of us a call. I love being an advocate for any informational regarding that source in town. Give us a call. We would love to help out, especially this time of year right after the holidays, winter coming in, things like that.
Apparently.
It's harder to get around, harder to help people. So that's what we're here for. And we provide everything from 24-hour care to just a couple hours a day, really whatever the need is. And it's the client decides. So that's the great thing about it.
That's amazing what you guys do.
Oh, thank you so much.
So 977-3452 or visitingangels.com. Thank you, Dalen. Happy New Year.
Oh, you as well.
We'll be right back.